around why MSBI came into the picture. What is BI? BI is nothing but business intelligence. So which is having normally different kind of layers. So what are those layers? Data source layer. So what do you mean by data source layer? Let's assume why we are going with the business intelligence and all. Suppose I want to analyze something. Suppose I am going to invest in some business. So before investing in the business, what exactly you will do? You will analyze the business first. And based on that analyzation, you are going to check it out whether you are going to invest in the business or not. So for analyzing the business, you want the data, right? Okay, so that data you are getting from the different sources. So that is nothing but your data source layer. Means you are getting the data from business data from different sources. Let's assume you are getting the data from some flat file, some Excel file, some CSV file, some Oracle DB, SQL DB, in this way. So you are getting the data from different sources. That is nothing but your data source layer. And second is transform data. What do you mean by transform data? Transform data is nothing but whatever the data you are getting from different sources. Whatever the data you are getting from different sources, that data you are going to apply some logic on the data. So whatever the raw data you have, you will apply some business logic accordingly as per your requirement, and you will see how the data is going to be matched as per our requirement. And third is data storage. So whatever the data I got, I have applied the logic and now I am going to store the data. So that is nothing but your data storage. And fourth is analytical layer. So after having the data in the database, what I will do, I will analyze the data. So getting the data from different sources, then applying the logic, then storing the data, and then analyzing the data. And after analyzing the data, you can present the data. Means you can create the reports. So this is nothing but your 5 layers of BI. So coming to our MSBI, Microsoft Business Intelligence. So what exactly your MSBI consists of? MSBI module consists of 3 layers. That is SSIS, SSRS and SSAS. So what exactly those 3 modules are going to do? SSIS stands for SQL Server Integration Services. SSAS stands for SQL Server Analysis Services. SSRS stands for SQL Server Reporting Services. So what do you mean by SSIS? Integration Services. So SSIS deals with the data. Integration. What do you mean by integration? Integration is nothing but connection. So SSIS deals with what exactly? So let's say this is one source, this is one source, and this is one source. Suppose for this source I am calling it as Excel file, and this is flat file or notepad, and this is some database, let's say SQL. So those are the 3 sources I am having. Okay, SSIS deals with integration. Integrating means connecting. So connecting to the different sources and getting the data. So here you can see SSIS is an ETL tool. What do you mean by ETL? ETL stands for E means extract, T means transform, and L means load. So your ETL stands for extract, transform and load. So extracting means what? Pulling the data. Extracting the data from multiple data sources and stored in centralized DB called data warehouse. So ETL, what exactly ETL will do? It will extract the data from multiple sources. So let's assume this is my one source, this is one source, and this is one source. So right now I'm having three sources. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to extract the data, I'm going to pull the data from the different sources and then, so this is extraction. Extraction means E, extraction. And second step is transformation. So here after extracting the data, what we are going to do? We are going to do transformation. Transform. So what exactly means transform means what? Suppose I am getting 1,000 records from those sources. 1,000 from here and 1,000 from here. I am getting 3,000 records. So what I want to do, I want to apply the logic here. Out of those 3,000 records, I want to load the records whose salary is greater than 1,000 rupees. Or I want to only load the records who are managers. Or I want to load the records whose age is in between so and so. So in this way, I want to apply the logic. I want to transform here based on the source. So whatever the data we are getting from the different sources, multiple sources, we want to apply the logic here in the transformation. And after applying the logic in the transformation, I want to load the data in some destination. So this is nothing but your ETL. So here we are going to load the data. So this is your SSIS, ETL. ETL stands for extract. You are extracting the data from different sources. T means transform, where you are going to apply the business logic for transforming the data as per your requirement. And L means load, where exactly you are going to load the data. So getting the data from multiple sources, transforming the data and loading the data in the destination. That is nothing but your ETL tool. ETL, SSIS. So extract data from multiple sources, data sources and store in centralized DB called DWH. So DWH is nothing but collection of data from different data sources and store in one location. Yes, this is your DWH part. So this is your DWH. So what do you mean by DWH? So DWH is nothing but where you are getting the data from multiple sources and having all the data at one location. And second is data mart. What do you mean by data mart? Data mart is nothing but related to some subject data. So suppose from here I am getting some finance related data. From one source I am getting marketed related data. From one source I am getting some manufacturing related data. From another source I am getting product related data. So in this way, from one source we are getting from related data related to some subject. So in that case you are going to call it as data mart. Means subjective collection of data is nothing but data mart. So in this way, this is one data mart, this is one data mart, and this is one data mart. So where you are getting the data related to some subject. So here you can see in this diagram. So here you are having different sources like SQL is one source, Excel is one source, text, Oracle, others. So you are getting the data from different sources and then using ETL, extract, transform and load, what you are doing? You are loading the data in your DWH, data warehouse. And after loading the data, on the top of your data warehouse, you are going to create your cube OLAP. So this will come under your SSAS module OLAP. And on the top of the cube, you are going to create your SSRS reports. So this part is going to be handled using ETL SSIS. And on the top of your DWH, you are going to create a cube, nothing but SSAS. And on the top of the cube, you are going to create reports, that is your SSRS. So here you can see getting the data from source, data 1, data 2, data 3. And then you are loading the data in the particular DWH, and then you are creating SSAS cubes. So coming to the next slide, so it will discuss regarding what do you mean by SSRS. So what do you mean by SSRS? What are the different features we have in SSRS? So SSRS is nothing but reporting services. As I have discussed, it is nothing but your reporting services. So what exactly reporting services deals with? Reporting services deals with creating of reports. So let's assume right now I'm having a data in my cube or data warehouse. So on the top of the cube or data warehouse, if you want to create a reports, then your SSRS comes into the picture. So how you are going to create the reports? So you can create a different varieties of reports here, like bar chart, pie, curve, and multiple flavors. So in this way, reporting services is going to be used for creation of reports, and your integration service is going to use for integrating data, getting the data from different sources, and your SSAS is going to be used for creating of cube. So in SSRS, you are having different types of reports. So you are having matrix report, you are having basic report, you are having some different flavors of report. Matrix, sub report, charts, drill down report, drill through report. So in this way, you are having different flavors of reports in SSRS. So as per the client requirement, you are going to create the report, what kind of report the client is looking for. So here we are going to cover some of the things like in our sessions, like how to create a basic matrix report, deploying reports, exploring reports, web-based reports, SQL Server management, studio-based service manager, and all. So those are the things we are going to cover in our reporting part. So in reporting part, after creating the reports, also we need to provide the security for the reports, because whatever the report I am going to deploy in the server, so only the particular users are only supposed to see the report, right? So that's what the reason we are going to provide also a security for the report. So who are the users or the audience who is going to see the report? So those part comes under your security. And how you are going to deploy the reports and all, that will come under programming reporting services. So what will be your URL, what is report viewer controls, and all. So again, we are going to cover some advanced topic as well, like working with custom assemblies, working with reporting services web, and snapshots and subscriptions. So what do you mean by normally snapshot? So snapshot is nothing but, so let's assume suppose I am working in some call center, okay, and I am getting multiple calls. So let's see how much volume do I have at the particular time, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. So instead of firing the query every time at the particular duration, what we will do, we will create a snapshot at the particular duration. So it will take a picture at the particular time, whatever the database data you have. and it will save in your report server. So in this way you can take a snapshots of the reports as well. So that will come under snapshot. And subscriptions. What do you mean by subscriptions? Let's assume every month on the particular date, on the 5th or 6th, we are going to get some credit card bills, postpaid bills, or any kind of bills online to directly or to mail. So no one is going to send the mail at the particular time and all, right? So automatically services had been scheduled there. So which is going to send you the mail regarding the reports, regarding the bills. So first we will create the report there and we are going to schedule the report. That will come under subscription parts. And the caching. Caching is nothing but, suppose let's assume we got some results. Okay, we got some results. So whenever the user is going to hit to the database, it will take more burden when suppose lakhs of users are hitting on the database at the particular moment. So what we will do, we will take a cache of the particular copy, and then whenever the user is going to hit to the database, we are going to provide the results from the cache. So that is a concept of caching. So ad hoc report with report builder. So this is also a server side. So those are the topics what we have planned to cover in our SSRS. And next is your SSAS. So what exactly SSAS deals with? So SSAS deals with SQL Server Analysis Services. So in SQL Server Analysis Services, it is nothing but your DWH. So where you are having fact and the dimensions. So what do you mean by fact and what do you mean by dimension? Fact is nothing but where you are going to store all the metrics kind of information. So let me show you all the metric kind of information. Let me open Excel. Let's say I'm having one dimension. Dimension means your table, where this dimension is nothing but customer dimension, where you will have all the descriptive information related to customer, like customer ID, like you will have the customer ID, customer name, customer age or email, and customer address. So this is one dimension. So in this way I'm having 3 to 4 dimensions. So let's assume I'm having product dimension, where I'm having product ID, product name, and product description. So we are taking some more like product, customer, sales. Sales dimension means I'm having sales ID and sales person name. Okay, so in this way we are having a dimension. So dimension is a table which deals only with the descriptive data. So here you can see in normal SQL Server table, you used to have the table, let's say employee. So where you will have the employee ID. Let's say in SQL Server, you will create an employee table where you can have employee ID, employee name, and salary, bonus, and everything you can have in your SQL Server table. But while discussing regarding your fact and the dimensions, your dimension table consists of only descriptive data or textual data. Remember, D for dimension and D for descriptive. So your dimension should have only the descriptive data, which is like this. So customer ID, customer name, email address, and all, which describes about the particular dimension. So let me say I'm having one more dimension, which is nothing but your date dimension. So date dimension. So I'm having date key, so year, month and quarter. So this is my date dimension. So in this way I'm having, let's say I'm having 4 dimensions. So date dimension which describe about descriptive data related to particular dimension. Customer dimension which describes regarding the customer. Product dimension which describes regarding the product. And sales dimension which describes regarding your salesperson. So those are the 4 tables what we have. So those are the 4 tables what we have. 4 dimensions I can say. So those are the 4 dimensions. And now we will have one fact table. So clear with the dimensions. What do you mean by dimension? Dimension means you will have the descriptive data regarding the particular table. Okay, descriptive or textual data. And now we will discuss regarding fact table. What do you mean by fact table? What do you mean by fact table? So here all the dimensions you will have the primary keys. Here customer ID is the primary key. Here date ID is the primary key. Here your product ID will be the primary key, and here your sales ID will be the primary key. And what exactly then fact table is different from your dimension table? So as we said, all the dimension table consists only the descriptive data. So fact table consists of your metrics like salary, bonus and all. So first, what your fact table consists of? Your fact table consists of the primary keys which are there in your particular dimension. So here you will have the product ID, sales ID, customer ID and your date key. So those IDs here acting as a foreign keys. And some another columns you will have metrics you will have called as like bonus, let's say salary, let's say miscellaneous fee. Okay, so in this way whatever the calculative columns are there, those calculative columns you will have here. So the columns of your dimensions is nothing but it is called as attributes. So columns of the dimensions is nothing but attributes, and columns of your fact table is nothing but we will call it as metrics or measures, because these columns I can calculate, I can measure those columns, right? So that's what the reason we will call it as metrics or measures. And those are the columns which are descriptive columns, so that's what the reason we are calling it as attributes. But in normal SQL server table you can't call it as attributes or measures and all, right? You will simply call it as columns and all. But here we have defined the normal SQL server table into 2 ways, dimension and fact, and we are calling the dimension column as attributes and the fact table column as metrics here. Okay, so now we got what is fact and now what is dimension, and now you can see how your relationship is there in between those fact and the dimension. So let me copy this and let me go to Paint and let me have a new file. ETL. Okay, now you can see. Now you can see whatever the right now we have created fact and dimensions. Now the relationship between, you can see customer ID to customer ID, product ID to product ID, sales ID to sales ID, and date key to your date key. Okay. So how you are going to create a relationship between those tables? So this is one table and this is one table. The relationship cust key. Between those fact and the dimension, the relationship is product key and sales key and your date key. So in this way you have created relationship between the fact and the dimensions. So this schema is called as star schema. So this kind of schema is called as star schema. When all the facts, when all the dimensions, this is one dimension, dimension, are directly linked with the fact table. Yes, this is linked with the fact table. This is linked with the fact table. So this, when all the dimensions are directly linked with the fact table, that is nothing but your star schema. So this table is directly linked with the fact table, So in this way. And one more schema we have, that is nothing but your snowflake schema. So let's say I am having one more table here, one more dimension, which is subproduct, and that subproduct having prod ID, subprod ID, and subprod name. Okay, so in this way I am having one more dimension table which is referring to product dimension, prod ID, or else let me put the subprod ID here, subprod ID, like this. So in this way we have created a table which is subprod table. So let me put this subprod table in our particular paint. So I am pasting the subprod table here. Okay. Now you can see, so there is a relationship between your subprod. So let me write here subprod. So there is a relationship between those two dimensions, like subprod ID and subprod ID. Okay. So when you are having such kind of schema, so you can see, is there any subprod ID in the fact table? No. No subprod ID. Suppose I want to pull the information related to subprod, what exactly I need to do? I need to join this prod ID with prod ID and this dimension subprod ID with this subprod ID. Whenever a single dimension is also, this dimension is not directly linked with the fact table, you can see here. So when even a single dimension is not directly connected with the fact table, such kind of schema we will call it as snowflake schema. Okay, suppose I'm having 100 dimensions and 99 dimensions are directly linked with the fact table, like this. And even a single dimension is not directly linked with the fact table. Let's say I'm having one more here which is connecting to your sales, like this. So this is called as snowflake schema. Star is nothing but when all the dimensions are directly linked with the particular your fact table, then you will call star schema. And even a single dimension is not directly connected with your fact table, then such kind of schema is called as snowflake schema. Clear? So here you can see in SSAS we have taken the example. To next slide, we were discussing right regarding your SSAS. So SSAS is nothing but where you are going to get the data from multiple sources, data warehouse. So what do you mean by data warehouse? Why exactly your data warehouse is going to be used? So data warehouse is nothing but you're getting the information from multiple sources. Data warehouse is nothing but you're getting the information from multiple sources. It is an informational environment that provides an integrity and total view of enterprise. So in the data warehouse, you will have always the historic data. Okay, so let's say I'm having different sources. So we are getting the data from the different sources at one location. So in this way, so I am having here product related data, sales related data, manufacturing related data, and some HR related data and finance related data. Okay, so here you can see. So data warehouse is nothing but combination of informational environment that provides integrated and total view of enterprise. Okay, and second is why exactly your data warehouse is going to be used. It is used for decision support system, and it is having all the historic data. So whatever the data you have in the data warehouse, you will have all the historic data. So let's say suppose if you want to invest some amount in some shares. Okay, suppose if you want to invest the amount in the shares, what exactly you will do? So before investing in the shares or before investing in the business, we will check the history of the particular business or the particular share. And after seeing the history only, we are going to decide like, do we need to invest the amount in the particular share or not, right? So based on the historic transaction, based on the historic performance, we are going to decide whether we are going to invest in the business or not. So in the data warehouse, you are going to have the historical data, so which will be easily available for decision making purpose. So it is used for making decision support transaction possible without hindering operational systems. What do you mean by operational systems? Operational systems is nothing but your transactional DB. Let's say my transactional DB. Let's take example of my bank account. So today morning the amount is different, and today evening the amount is going to be different. Okay, so you can't assume like how much amount will be there in my account till evening or afternoon or what it may be, because as the time duration changes, when we are going to do the transaction, your account details are going to be changed. So on your transactional data, but based on your historical transaction, I can do some decision making. Suppose let's say if I am going to take my last 5 years accounts. Okay, by seeing my last 5 years accounts, which is historical data, so at least I can assume like last first year I got this much revenue, second year this much revenue, third year this much revenue, fourth year this much revenue. So we can analyze the data even in the business. So how the revenue you are going to get in yearly wise, monthly wise, quarter wise. So based on the historic data, you can make the decision. So your DWH is going to be used for making decision purpose. Okay, without hindering your operational system. That is nothing but your transactional data. So in the data warehouse, so let's assume I have taken some product from supermarket. So whenever you are going to purchase some products, or let's assume some clothes, so clearly they will mention, boss, if you want to do any kind of exchange, so you can go for exchange within 10 days. Okay, they will mention the time period 10 days, because till 10 days they will put the data in the transactional database only. They will have the data in the transactional database till 10 days only. After 10 days, what they will do, they will move all the transactional data to some historic database, to some drives, like you can say CDs, or you can say any hard disk or anywhere. So once they move the data to some hard disk or anywhere, so they can't change the data. So till the data is there with them in the transactional database, and if you go for exchange, definitely they will within the particular duration what they have mentioned on the bill. And once they move the data to the data warehouse, they can't make any kind of changes. So that's what the reason they will put some date, like within 7 days, 10 days, or what it may be. So once the data is going to be moved to the particular data warehouse, the data become historic data. Okay. So what exactly data warehouse consists of? Data warehouse consists of subject oriented. So here, as we are discussing, so data warehouse is nothing but subject oriented. Like it will define the specific business domain like banking, retail, insurance, etc. Yes, it is subject related. I am getting the data related to product, related to sales, manufacturing, HR, finance. Some subject related. And next is integrated. Yes, integrated means what? You are getting the data from different source. You are getting the data from Excel, flat file, OLEDB, and different sources. So integrated means it should be positioned to integrate data from various sources, like you are getting the data from various sources like SQL, Oracle, DB2, etc. Yes. And third point is time variant. It should be in a position to maintain the data in various time periods. Like I'm having quarterly wise data, I'm having yearly wise data, monthly wise data, weekly wise data. So in this way we are maintaining different time slots for the particular data. And next is non-volatile, because as I say, give an example, once the data is inserted, it can't be changed. So as I given the example of supermarket, means after 7 days or 10 days after the exchange period, they will move the data to data warehouse. And once the data is moved to your data warehouse, you can't change the data. Okay. So in this way, subject related data you have, subject related. So this subject related data is nothing but your data mart. Data mart. So this is one data mart. So this is one data mart. So this is also a data mart. This is also a data mart. So all those are data marts. So in one way I can say your data warehouse. So your data warehouse is a combination of data marts. Data warehouse is a combination of data marts, or data mart is a subset of your data warehouse. And data marts consist of the data related to some subject related, like product related, HR related, finance related, manufacturing related. So in this way your data warehouse consists of the combination of data marts which holds the subject related data. So this we'll discuss regarding the SSAS part. What is fact, what is dimension, what is data mart, and other things. Yes, any doubts here? Any questions? Yeah, normally here we are having 3 modules, simple SSIS, which deals with integration services, where we are going to deal with how you are going to get the data from multiple sources like flat file, Excel, and on other databases, and you are loading the data in your data warehouse system using SSIS. Means SSIS deals with integrating, connecting to sources and getting the data and transforming and then loading the data. SSRS, reporting services, means after loading the data, on the top of the data you are going to create some reports using SSRS. And this is the AS is nothing but your data warehouse, where you are going to create a cube, and on the top of the cube you are going to show the data. Yes, any questions here? No questions? Okay, then thank you. So this is what regarding our MSBI demo. So if you are having any kind of queries, then you can get back